What's going on, Kane fans? Welcome back to the show. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to be starting a new series that'll take us through the offseason. It's basically me rating and doing a player bio on the top 50 players, in my opinion, on this roster, and the top 50 guys that I think will make some kind of an impact this year. And so the way I rated the players on this list is based on a number of things. Number one, what you've done on the field so far. Number two, your upside. And number three, how I think you're going to perform, not going forward like, 2024, 2025, but I'm talking this season specifically. So it's a combination of things. What I'm hearing in practice, how a player's developing, and what I think they're going to do this season in 2023. So it's a combination of different things. For example, a guy like Francis Mauigoa, a newcomer. Obviously, I'm not going to rate him number one or number two because he hasn't even stepped on the field yet. That wouldn't be fair. But I'm also not going to rate him number 50 or keep him out of the rankings because let's be honest, Francis Mauigoa is too good. He's a freak. He's going to have some kind of impact on this team in 2023. So that's kind of how I scaled it. So you probably saw in the thumbnail, today's profile is going to be a bit of a controversial one. Cyrus Moss. I picked him at number 50. He'll be my first one because, we didn't see a lot of him last year because, he dealt with some injuries. And, we caught a glimpse of him in the spring. And I think he's an interesting one to cover. He was a top 40 player, I believe, according to the 247 composite last year, elite recruit. I believe he was our highest rated recruit in 2022. He was a big get right before signing day. Great job by Coach Cristobal and staff. That was one of the guys that Coach Cristobal came in and in a 3-week span was able to flip him into Miami. Now, he was recruiting him to Oregon originally, so that did help. So big time recruit. He's a guy you can even argue was a 5-star, but the drawback with him is his size. He is 6'5", bordering on 6'6", 220 pounds, 215 pounds, depending who you ask. Super lean. So that's kind of what held him back from being on the field more and being considered as an impact guy for this year. So he could, if he put on 10, 15 more pounds, if he just bulked up to 230, 235, even that is at least something to work with. Now, the bright side is I think Jason Taylor moving over to coach the defensive ends will help a guy like Cyrus Moss tremendously. Why? Because Jason Taylor is very similar. Jason Taylor also 6'5", 6'6", twitchy, freaky, athletic, NFL Hall of Famer. A lot of these players probably, when they were little kids, even remember Jason Taylor playing because he played right here in their hometown. So JT also, in addition to being 6'6", he was, if you hear him say it in interviews and things like that, he will tell you that the heaviest he was somewhere in the 240s, even though he was listed at like 265 or something. That is incorrect. I mean, just by looking at him, you can tell JT was an undersized guy. But guys like him and Javon Curse with the Tennessee Titans, they kind of changed the game as far as edge rushers. So Cyrus doesn't need to put on 25, 30 pounds. He just needs to bulk up a little bit more, and I think he'll be more effective. So here's my opinion on Cyrus's ceiling and floor for 2023 specifically. His floor, unfortunately, it's pretty much at the bottom. And in all likelihood, it's probably going to lean towards this, where he doesn't really get a ton of playing time, and he maybe ends up transferring to a place where it was a better fit. But the upside with him, this is why he's interesting. The upside with him is that it's very high because, again, you cannot deny his talent. I propose something here for Cyrus Moss, though. I believe that he could be more effective dropping back and playing more linebacker than having his hand under and being an edge rusher, defensive end type of player. As a linebacker, with his height, his length, I think he could be an asset in pass coverage and making open field tackles. We've been saying for the last couple of years on this channel and on other channels, I want to see this defense get more athletic. Doesn't get more athletic than Cyrus Moss. So if he's going to have any kind of impact on this team, I think a slight position change, dropping him back to linebacker more, could be very effective. If he does that, well, he could he could be a heavy rotation guy, get some snaps, and maybe be considered, because of that production, considered as an all-ACC runner-up, all-ACC caliber player for 2024. So I think that's the ceiling and floor with him for this coming season. The floor being he doesn't get a lot of playing time, ends up transferring out. The ceiling being he gets in there, little position change, gets some playing time and contributes on defense and sets himself up for next year. And let's not forget, Mario Cristobal is no stranger to moving guys around that are very talented, but maybe couldn't get the size down or couldn't, fit the position they were recruited as. I'll give you an example. DJ Johnson. Remember him? If you don't remember him, DJ Johnson was a highly rated 4-star defensive tackle, defensive end kind of player. Super athletic, same as Cyrus Moss. Great speed. He was recruited by University of Miami back in 2017. He was part of that one of those Mark Richt recruiting classes. And then he ends up transferring to Oregon. There was one season that he was playing tight end and scoring touchdowns playing tight end. I think he scored like 3 or 4 touchdowns or something. He was used as a red zone guy, kind of a specialist. Maybe you even consider grabbing Cyrus Moss and throwing him on offense, maybe using him as a wide receiver or something. I don't know. Obviously, that's a room that could use some help. So all I'm saying is with Cyrus Moss, keep an open mind. Maybe he switches position. Maybe they throw him on offense. I don't know. I just think he's too great of an athlete to keep him off the field if he's healthy. So let's see what happens there. I think that's an interesting one. So that's it for my player profile for Cyrus Moss. That's number 50. We will do number 49 here in the next few days. Before I go, big time congratulations to the basketball teams, both the men and the women. Congrats to Katie Meyer and that team for making the Elite Eight for the first time in history. So that's pretty awesome. And for the men, Coach Larrañaga making the Elite Eight for the second consecutive year, which is awesome. I was just having a discussion with a buddy of mine yesterday. I mean, imagine Coach Larrañaga now, 2 straight ACC or 2 straight Elite Eight appearances, ACC championship. You got an ACC Player of the Year. This is only going to help the basketball program moving forward. I think it's just going to get better with Dan Radakovich at the helm now, and you got NIL to kind of sweeten the deal. Obviously there's a lot of NIL opportunities here in South Florida. Imagine Coach Larrañaga lands some bigs, some legit 6'10" and 6'11" power forwards and centers. Because right now, our center's 6'7", 6'8". So imagine what this team can do with actual size down low in the low post. So exciting stuff there. Unfortunately, the baseball team lost one last night against Wake Forest on the road. Wake Forest is number 2 in the nation. I think they only have like 3 losses all season. So tough team to go up against. Later today, they got an afternoon game, so hopefully they can even the series. And that's it for me for now. As always, it's all about that U. Go Canes.